Holy fucking shit. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, a date that will live in infamy. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, on a Witta Wednesday alongside the Rogue One at Gary Witta.
That should be your the thumbnail. Get Andy on the thumbnail right now. Holy fucking shit.
This is one of the
Remember that?
remember that Onion headline for
You remember
Holy
the Onion
fucking
man
shit,
walks on the
walks in
fucking moon? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we should do. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
Although this is more
if
like
you've somehow
Microsoft
just
walks
clicked
on Sony's fucking face.
If you've clicked on this episode and you didn't look at the thumbnail, the headline, you've been on an oil rig all day, you don't know what's happening. Xbox has bought Activision-Blizzard. The internet is on fire. This news broke this morning around 6 a.m. and everything has been insanity ever since. We're going to walk you through it in a giant episode, I am sure. There's no sense for any of the normal bullshit Gary and I would do. We need to get right to it because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunnygames where you can write in to be part of the show. You can get the show ad-free. You can get the show with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday. You can get a bevy of other benefits like the XCast. You can watch them record that live on Friday. You can get it ad-free. You can get it as a post show. And apparently it'll be the only game in town soon enough because Xbox is going to snap up everything. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it is no big deal. You can go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe each and every weekday to get a brand spanking new episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily ad-free. Of course, you can be watching us record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like, oh man, it's going fast today. Senor Nerd is, Foxy Steve is, Frog Knight is. If you're watching live, of course, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can keep the record straight for everybody watching later on all the platforms I already listed. And of course, if you really want to support us an extra mile on the Epic Games Store, you could use the creator code Kinda Funny. If you use that, then every time you make a purchase on the Epic Games Store, or if maybe you're joining back into Fortnite to play some Tilted Towers, you can get that on the platform of choice as long as you're using the Epic creator code Kinda Funny. But I digress. Housekeeping for you before we get into just what the fuck kind of day. P.S. I Love You XOXO is live right now with the re-review of Horizon Zero Dawn, podcast services, youtube.com/kindafunnygames. And if that wasn't enough, myself, Andy, and Nick are starring in a Rainbow Six Extraction Let's Play, youtube.com/kindafunnygames right now. I think he might have brought in Snowbike Mike at some point at the end because he needed to pad it out because me and Nick were so good he wanted to bring in show what a beginner looks like, but I'm not sure about that. And then, if you can help us out, Rooster Teeth is doing a podcast survey about all the different Kinda Funny podcasts. It says Kinda Funny podcast, but they're actually talking about all the podcasts. So if you could go to kindafunny.com/podcast survey, it'll just take you a few minutes and it helps us out because people need to understand why we're so cool. Thank you to our Patreon producers, James Davis, aka at James Davis Makes, Blackjack, and Pranksy. Today, we're brought to you by HelloFresh, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news.
What's the number one story, Greg?
Well, there's 3 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
But that, of course, is
Only
a bullshit
3?
number.
Sounds like a slow news day to me.
Yeah, well, number 1's got about 19 different sources and things to go off of, but we will start with what you all expect. Xbox has bought Activision-Blizzard. I will begin on the Xbox's official site. Kevin already has it pulled up. You can see that beautiful graphic right there showing who is joining Xbox Game Studios. Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, StarCraft, to name a few. This, of course, is a letter penned by the one, the only Phil Spencer, the Big Daddy over at Xbox. As a team, we are on a mission to extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone on the planet. We all know that gaming is the most vibrant and dynamic form of entertainment worldwide, and we've experienced the power of social connection and friendship that gaming makes possible. As we pursue that mission, it is incredibly exciting to announce that Microsoft has agreed to acquire Activision-Blizzard. Over many decades, the studios and teams that make up Activision-Blizzard have earned vast wellsprings of joy and respect from billions of people all over the world. We are incredibly excited to have the chance to work with the amazing, talented, dedicated people across Activision Publishing, Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, Demonware, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, King, Major League Gaming, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, and every team across Activision Blizzard. Are you fucking kidding me? Until this transaction closes, Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently. Once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me, this is Phil Spencer, of course, not Greg Miller, as CEO of Microsoft Gaming. Upon close, we will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can within Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision Blizzard's incredible catalog. We also announced today that Game Pass now has more than 25 million subscribers. As always, we look forward to continuing to add more value and more great games to Game Pass. As a company, Microsoft is committed to our journey for inclusion in every aspect of gaming among both employees and players. We deeply value individual studio cultures. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams and all leaders to this commitment. We're looking forward to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard. Around the world, there is no more exciting venue for fun and connection than video games. And there has never been a better time to play than right now. As we extend the joy and community of gaming to everyone, we look forward to welcoming all our friends at Activision Blizzard to Microsoft Gaming. This ended then with a look at the Xbox gaming leadership team. If you want to toss that up, Kevin, I think it'll be important. You see Phil Spencer there at the head, all the mafia families, all the leaders of the mafia families below him. This will be important when we eventually get into talking about culture, which, of course, Phil calls out here. You would imagine a not so subtle reference to the fact that Activision Blizzard have been lepers lately, obviously being sued by the state for their frat boy culture and everything else and the horrible shit that's happened there and all the fucking leaders that need to get bounced. And we will talk about if they will. But let's start at the very top before I bring any other information in, Gary. You wake up. You pour yourself a spot of tea, like I assume you do. You put in your monocle, and you go to open the paper. You see this headline. What do you think?
Yes, right after Jeeves has brought me my freshly ironed newspaper and presented me with my foie gras on toast or whatever it is.
Well, foie gras is great. Let's not bring that. Horrible way it's harvested.
My roasted peacock on and scrambled eggs.
Sure.
Yeah, I was sitting there very much like Lord. You know how Lord Grantham, every Downton Abbey starts when he sits there and goes,
I regret making this reference.
And he opens up the letter. He opens up the letter. He's like, "Good Lord." So okay, look, before we even get into it, let me ask you a kind of a meta question. Do you? Because I was thinking about this just before we went live. You've obviously Kind of Funny's been around for 7 years. You've done games daily. Almost practically every weekday that it's been around.
Sure.
So you would know. Do you, as you search your memory, do you think this is the biggest news day in the history of Kind of Funny Games Daily? Has there been anything that has ever rivaled this in terms of the seismic quality and proportion and implications of the news?
No, I would say this is the biggest news day. And I think honorable mentions, of course, to the Bethesda purchase for Xbox as well. Honorable mention to when it was live that Sony pulled out of E3, but that's a different thing altogether, right? But this is so many different things wrapped into one, right? Where it is maybe I'm being foolish. This is unexpected. I didn't see this happening. It's happening while Activision Blizzard is caught up in so much turmoil. It's happening, as Xbox Game Pass continues to gain momentum, Xbox Studios continues to gain momentum. It's happening, on the heels of that Activision Blizzard disgrace, Phil Spencer being like, we're evaluating how we're going to work with Activision Blizzard going forward. That was an on-the-record comment. And what he meant is, we're thinking about buying these motherfuckers. So, things are going to change.
The amazing thing about it, like you said, it came as a surprise. Again, we're still kind of talking around it before we even get into it. Because, it's so big. It's like we can just talk about it without even really getting into it, just the size of it. It's interesting, right? We traffic very much in this industry in news, in rumors, and I've heard this person might be buying that person or whatever. But then something like this comes along, which, like you just said, I think probably is the biggest news story of the decade, of the last 10 years in video games. And no one even got a whiff of it coming, right? It just exploded onto everyone's, inboxes this morning, and everyone, the whole industry just did a massive epic spit take. And many people must have known about this, right? A lot of senior executives. For sure. Just think about how many lawyers worked on this deal. The bunch of people, and obviously these are all the kind of people that are going to keep stum. But it is just, it's amazing in and of itself that there wasn't even a whiff of this just last week on the Xcast, me and Mike and Paris were talking about how it seemed like Microsoft were having like a slow Q1, like no big releases. Like, what's Microsoft's next move? Game Pass is doing good. Bethesda was big, but like, what's next? Like, what's the next big move they're going to make? Like, we don't know. Well, now we fucking do.
And I mean, and that's the thing is like, I feel like it is, because again, if you didn't know, ladies, this is leading into this show. Like last week, I was Nobody Saves the World review embargoes on Tuesday. We'll get all sorts of people to come in and talk about that game. I'm sure
this is a real like hold the front page. The editor like literally in the old days he used to say stop the presses, right? Because they would literally stop the printing presses so they could reprint the front page.
Show, and it's like you're saying, you're like you were wondering what their next big move would be. Like, big move doesn't even describe this. Like, this is, and like, it's that thing, and there's so many different tendrils we're going to talk about. I have so much more information to give you, but like the conversations about Monopoly that have already started popping up, not the fun board game that's the best board game of all time. The fact that, is Xbox entering into Monopoly? Are we in, like, we've talked about it before of like, oh, this arms race between Xbox and PlayStation to buy up first parties, and it's like, or third parties. And now it's like, well, do you have to do that to survive? Because now Microsoft ain't fucking done. They're coming for everything.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, maybe they're just getting started. There's only a handful of companies that can make moves on this level. Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and there's Xbox right in the middle of that. So again, it's such a big, them buying Bethesda last year, we thought that was a big deal, and it was, right? But it's dwarfed by the size of this deal. And it's so big. I think we're still all, as we're kind of, it's still the AM here in the Pacific time zone. We only learned about this a couple of hours ago. I think we're still trying to get our arms around it. And there's so many different ways to come at this story, right? There's so many angles.
So yeah, we're already into it. Let me give you a bit more information, some of the bit more nuts and bolts that have been coming out. All right, Bloomberg. This is the first person I saw report it. I apologize, it was somewhere else. But Bloomberg's Dina Bass will pop up a little bit later with some more information. Has the deal? She's the one who broke it, saying it was going to be around $70 billion, $70 billion.
Holy shit.
She then responded to herself, bringing it to $68.7 billion. That's the number she has, and that's what I've seen. I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere else. Kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong if you have a different number, but don't worry about it otherwise. So then we want to roll from that into gamesindustry.biz's Brendan Sinclair's report on this. I'm joining an article already in progress, pulling some stuff out of it. Talking about obviously $68.7 billion. That would be a significant premium over Activision Blizzard's market cap of nearly $51 billion. But like many game outfits, the Call of Duty and World of Warcraft publisher's share price has been trending downward over the last year. Activision Blizzard has also been the subject of immense public criticism since a July lawsuit by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing alleged pervasive gender discrimination at the publisher. Microsoft soon confirmed the deal had been reached and put a price point of $95 per share on the deal, a 69% premium, nice, over Activision Blizzard's Monday closing price of $65.39. Microsoft added that the addition of Activision Blizzard would make it the world's third largest gaming company by revenue, behind only Tencent and Sony. In November, Xbox head Phil Spencer sent an email to employees saying Microsoft leadership was disturbed and deeply troubled by what happened at Activision Blizzard, adding that he was, quote, evaluating all aspects of our relationship with Activision Blizzard and making ongoing proactive adjustments, end quote. This is a proactive adjustment if I've ever seen one, right? Microsoft has said that Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick will continue to serve in that position, but will report to Spencer after the deal closes. Microsoft did not say whether Activision Blizzard's franchise would be made exclusive to the Xbox platforms. Again, that's Brendan Sinclair, gamesindustry.biz. If you allow me, Gary, I will continue to give you more information because before we jump into anything that was there, I want it all out there because so much is breaking, so much is happening. I tweeted about this. Go give your favorite games industry reporter a pat on the back. There's so much good shit out there right now. People answering questions we all legitimately have and giving more information about this thing, getting quotes they need. Everybody's killing it today. I'm very, very proud of our industry, our side of the industry, the reporting side of it. Anyways, though, back to Dina Bass, who I already talked to from I talked about from Bloomberg, who added this. Then, okay, this is about exclusive. Microsoft plans to keep making some of Activision's games for PlayStation consoles, but will also keep some content exclusive to Xbox, said a person familiar with the company's thinking. Quote, I'll just say to players out there who are playing Activision Blizzard games on Sony's platform, it's not our intent to pull communities away from that platform, and we remain committed to that, Spencer said in an interview. Now, we can get back to that. I think there's some words in there that are you talking about we're back to this is all shades of Bethesda. When we were talking about what does that mean? Where are we going with that? And is it going to be exclusive? And I'm sure PSILY will bust in like the Kool-Aid man in a second to be like, you don't spend $70 billion to publish your game somewhere else. But we'll keep that for a second. Let's now go to IGN, where Joe Screbbles talks a bit about Bobby Kotick's role. Microsoft has confirmed that controversial Activision-Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick will remain in his position after it acquires the company. Microsoft announced its intention to buy Activision-Blizzard for almost $70 billion and made clear that Kotick would remain in his position until the deal is complete. IGN asked for a comment on what the future of the scandal hit executive would be after the deal. Quote, Bobby, I'm sorry, they didn't say Bobby 3 times. That was Greg. Quote, Bobby will lead Activision Blizzard as CEO, as he has for the last 30 years, replied a Microsoft spokesperson. Together, Bobby and Phil will work together to ensure the transition to this exciting new combined enterprise. The Activision Blizzard business will report to Phil after close, end quote. The spokesperson did not add details about Kotick's specific duties once Spencer steps in as CEO. It's possible that Kotick's position at the company will be under review after his contract expires. Last year, Kotick took a 50% pay cut as part of a contract that extends until a minimum of March 31st, 2023. The Microsoft spokesperson did not make reference to that contract or if it would be extended. If that wasn't enough, here we keep going, right? Now we're talking to Karen Weiss over the New York Times. Karen Weiss of the New York Times tweeted this, just spoke with Bobby Kotick, the Activision CEO, and he declined to say he will be CEO after the deal closes. Quote, post-close, I will be available as needed. If that wasn't enough, the Wall Street Journal added, and they have a whole bunch of people on their article, so forgive me for not running through the names. They added this in right as we were going live. Bobby Kotick, Activision's longtime CEO, is expected to leave after the deal closes, according to people familiar with those plans. Microsoft has said in its announcement Tuesday that Mr. Kotick, quote, will continue to serve as CEO of Activision Blizzard, and that after the deal closes, quote, the Activision Blizzard business will report to Microsoft Gaming Chief Phil Spencer. But the companies have agreed that he will depart once the deal closes, the people said. And if you needed I'm just throwing this meatball out there for you, ladies and gentlemen. This would probably be one of the lead stories if it wasn't the day. NPD numbers for December are out and also the entire year. So if you're sitting there going like, man, $70 billion for Activision Blizzard, a disgraced company, seems like a lot, I send you to Eddie over at GameSpot, who writes, amid news that Activision and the Call of Duty series are being acquired by Microsoft, the NPD group has released its sales report for December 2021 and the full year, revealing that Call of Duty Vanguard and Black Ops Cold War are the top 2 best-selling games of the year. Vanguard was December's best-selling game of December in the full year, and the series has now been the best-selling game franchise for dollar sales for 13 years in a row. Gary.
Yeah.
I have laid out, we are in Hogwarts, and I have laid out this giant buffet in front of you, my wizarding hat. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's so many different ways to come at it. A lot of people are talking about the Bobby Kotick of it all, and we'll get to that. But let's maybe start with the part of this that to me, you know, has the most real world impact on game. Like, what does this mean for you, Johnny Gamer or Jenny Gamer?
Hey, I'm Johnny and Jenny Gamer.
I'll be Jenny, you be Johnny. Okay. So Johnny and Jenny Gamer are going, what does this mean for us? Well, largely, first of all,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Are we married or are we brother and sister?
Friends with benefits.
Are we? No.
That doesn't seem right. That means
Gamer isn't our surname. That's just what we do.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was. My apology. I didn't know.
I don't know what parts of the internet you've been hanging out on where brothers and sisters are fucking each other, but
stepbrother.
I think
step.
Anyways, back to it. We're Johnny and Jenny. I got it. We're back in roleplay. We're back.
Okay, so here's the thing, Johnny, over there, you're a PlayStation gamer. Jenny, me, I'm an Xbox gamer. So I am in clover right now. I'm like, well, this is only good for me, right? But the only change this means to me is a massive, yet another massive improvement in the value of Game Pass. All these Activision Blizzard titles, right? Now, I don't never have to buy another Call of Duty game. That's going to get rolled in. Any Blizzard games, technically they're traditionally more of a PC publisher, but again, Game Pass Ultimate's going to cover that as well. So Diablo, StarCraft, it's all going to get rolled into Game Pass, and this is just wonderful for me. Obviously, the people that have reason to be nervous about the implications here are particularly Sony gamers, right? And here's the thing, we call it Activision, but let's be honest, it's Call of Duty Incorporated, and that's what that company has been for years under Bobby Kotick's leadership. Activision, which in its prior forms was once a great company for innovation and experimentation. They did all kinds of really interesting different kinds of games. In recent years, in the modern era, in the Kotick era, the Activision has just become a company whose specialty is running franchises into the ground. And Call of Duty is really the last one, and they make a lot of money. You just saw even Vanguard, which was critically and creatively considered a flop, still made big numbers this year. And so Call of Duty, I've been waiting for years for franchise fatigue to set in on Call of Duty, and I think I finally just acknowledged it's never going to happen. As long as they just have to keep making them. They don't even have to be particularly great. Like I didn't win the last time like a truly great Call of Duty game was. Vanguard certainly wasn't it. I did like I actually enjoyed Cold War, but it was like a lot of people were mixed on it. The last Modern Warfare I thought was probably the best one in a while. The point is that's what they have. When you look at that, it's interesting when you look at that graphic that you put up earlier. Here are all the things that Activision-Blizzard have. There's like 7 or 8 games. Only one of them is an Activision game. And guess which one that is? Fucking Call of Duty, because it's the only game they have. All of the rest, the Blizzard is a much more vibrant, portfolio of franchises. Overwatch, StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo. It's a much more vibrant ecosystem over there. And then the Kings of Candy Crush, all that stuff is a license to print money. But then so you can say like, oh, Activision is just a one game company. But if you're going to be a one game company, you're going to want that one game to be Call of Duty, right?
Well, it's still that one thing. They're a one franchise company, right?
It's still the biggest thing
working on Call of Duty. That's how you annualize it.
So I guess the biggest question is, let me ask you that. Let me first put this back to you. Sure. Do you think there is a realistic scenario where Microsoft really do bring Call of Duty in-house and say, sorry, PlayStation gamers, from now on, if you want to be if you want to continue playing Call of Duty as you have for years, you got to come over to our side of the fence now. Get yourself a Game Pass subscription.
100% yes.
Do you think that's the most likely scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do this. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that the Kind of Funny suite of programming has an amazing Xbox show called the Kind of Funny XCast. On it is a man named PSILY. He's a snappy dresser. He's good looking. He works out a lot. And again, when Bethesda got bought, right, that was the big, when everybody's going back and forth. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be this? Paris, what did you say about exclusivity for Bethesda?
I said that you do not spend $7.5 billion to keep things the same. And I will say now, you don't spend $68.7 billion to keep things the same. I absolutely think Call of Duty is going exclusive. Whenever whatever contractual agreements may happen, probably by 2024, 2025, you will not get a new Call of Duty on a PlayStation platform.
The level, if that's the case, Paris, and I like I said, I'm kind of more on the fence about it, because at the end of the day, it's an equation, right? It's like, is there more money to be made by now being the publisher of Call of Duty on Sony platforms, which is you can make a lot of money doing that, or by bringing, at the end of the day, what has the better end game for you? And I could see two arguments, but I go back to what you said about Bethesda, where we were talking about, is Starfield going to be exclusive? And the result was, well, yeah, of course it fucking is. Like, why did we ever think anything else? And as you said, you don't spend $7 billion to keep things the same. When you're spending 10 times that much money, maybe that's 10 times as true. I'm just trying to imagine the size. We're talking about the seismic level of butthurt among PlayStation gamers.
But Gary,
one of the biggest, Call of Duty is a multi-platform title, right? But I always feel like it's considered like PlayStation first. That's generally where the time that
that's because it switched over, right? Remember that during the Xbox 360 time, Call of Duty was all with Xbox, and even a little bit of Xbox One. But then PlayStation during the 4 generation got on the exclusive map.
The point is this: for PlayStation gamers, Call of Duty is one of the central pillars of their gaming lives, right? For a huge amount of PlayStation gamers. If that is going to change, and now if they want to continue to play their favorite game, as I'm sure for many people, for many PlayStation gamers, it is their favorite game, they are now going to have to jump ship and invest in some way in the Xbox
conversations
ecosystem.
We will have on podcasts for the next multiple years, right? But right here, what you're talking about, yes, PlayStation. Every time we talk about the exclusives in PlayStation Studios, somebody brings up, well, why don't they have a first-person shooter? You know what I mean? Halo over on the Xbox side, right? Gears, not a first-person, but Gears is a shooter, right? And it's always this idea. Well, they tried with Killzone, they tried with Resistance, and it didn't work. And why should they care? They have Call of Duty. Call of Duty is selling so well for them. Why would they ever need to worry about it? Now they need to worry about it. And so that'll be a conversation for a PS I Love You in the future. To get us back on what's happening today, I want to, in this conversation, do two things. First off, go back to Dina's quote she has from Phil, then go to a question, and then kick it to the one and only PSILY from the Kind of Funny Xcast. The Dina quote, or again from Phil Spencer, reads like this. Quote, I'll just say to players out there who are playing Activision Blizzard games on Sony's platform, it's not our intent to pull communities away from that platform, and we remain committed to that. To me, Greg Miller, what that means is if you are playing Warzone right now, if you are playing Vanguard right now, we're not gonna flip a switch and that's all gonna disappear for you. I do think that leaves plenty of room for exactly what Paris is saying.
That language,
2024, you're not getting new Call of Duty stuff.
That language in that statement, just like with Bethesda and then with any of these big things, would have been reviewed and gone over with a fine-tooth comb and approved word for word by lawyers and senior executives. When he says, like, if they wanted to be unambiguous about it, he could have said, don't worry, PlayStation gamers, Call of Duty's not going anywhere. We're going to continue to publish that because, it's very lucrative business for us now. He didn't say that. He said it's not our intent to blah. And it's like there's enough room there that a year from now when they announce that that Call of Duty is going to be an Xbox exclusive, like they won't be able to point to anything where he unambiguously said, he's not going to be going back on anything. He said it's not our intent. We don't want to do it. We might not, but
So then to bring in a reader from patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where you can go to be part of Kind of Funny Games Daily each and every weekday. Andy writes in, and not Andy Cortez, writes in and says, I am wondering the effects this will have on a more casual gamer. I know 4 of my friends have recently gotten a PlayStation 5 just to play Call of Duty. Now that could be gone. And even for me, who listens to these podcasts every day, I normally game on PlayStation. I had to get a Series X to go alongside the PlayStation 5 because of the plays Microsoft is making. Why would you buy a PlayStation 5 over an Xbox Series X now? There's no periods in here, sorry. Well, now, period. There's no reason other than missing maybe a handful of exclusives a year. Just wanted your thoughts. Have a great day. Paris, first off, do you line up with what I'm saying about the quote here from Phil? And then secondly, what do you think this does for the future of buying consoles?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with what you're saying about the quote from Phil. I mean, it's like you're saying, Warzone's not going to go away. Vanguard's not going to go away. They're not going to take anything legacy away from that exists on PlayStation now. It'll be new experiences. They're going to have a cutoff date to where, all right, all of that's just going to be in the Xbox ecosystem moving forward.
If they're saying that this deal is going to take a year to close and it won't close until mid-2023, probably the next Call of Duty game that's coming out this year could be the last one on PlayStation. The next year's would be the first one under the new regime.
Very well could be. I do think it may go beyond that. I'm thinking more 2024, to be honest with you, since the deal probably doesn't close until mid next year. But I mean, going to the other point, just with Game Pass and everything, Xbox is in the Game Pass business. This is what all of this is about. They're all about trying to add value to that subscription service. That's why you do this. You just
continue to overload Game Pass with value until it becomes a completely undeniable proposition. And again, I feel like they crossed that line some while ago, but then this is just piling on at this point.
So going to what the reader was saying, I mean, yeah, of course, there's still a world where you're going to want to have a PlayStation 5 because they're still going to have these amazing exclusive titles. But what Xbox is doing is they're saying, look, we're going to make it a very hard proposition for you to not want to invest into our ecosystem at some level, be it a console, be it on the PC, or streaming it on a mobile device through the cloud. That's what they're doing. And Game Pass is the center of all of that.
I want to bring in this question here from Jordan Deeb. Jordan Deeb wrote into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, echoing one of the points we talked about at the top of the show. Morning, Greg and Gary. Paris, he didn't know you're going to be here. I'm sure he would say that. Is Microsoft's acquisition of Activision-Blizzard concerning from a monopoly standpoint? While Microsoft may choose to keep things like Call of Duty or Overwatch multi-platform, them still owning the IP and having the ability to make it exclusive anytime they want seems like too much power. Combine this with the Bethesda acquisition, and it seems like at this rate, there will be little third-party studios left. Personally, my biggest concern is the publishing aspect. When PlayStation buys studios, they always tended to be smaller studios that only developed and didn't publish, while also having a direct existing relationship to PlayStation. Is this something to be worried about in your eyes? Paris, are you worried about a monopoly?
A little, I am, because I was even saying this on XCast a few months back that even with the Bethesda thing, you just took a major publisher off the board, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. It is what it is. Now you've really taken a major publisher off the board with Activision, and you're condensing it even more. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because even from an indie standpoint, the more Microsoft requires these major publishers, the more Microsoft makes Game Pass the way that you engage with your games. What does that do for other publishers and other indie studios that want you to actually go out and spend the money up front to buy a game? Because we talked about this on XCast just this last episode with Death's Door. I saw so many people saying, well, I want to play it. I'll just hold out till it comes on Game Pass. That is a concern, I do think.
By the way,
moving
that's
forward.
coming up. That happened today too.
I know, which was amazing.
Look today. That's the door's coming to Game Pass to the 20th, right?
So there is some concern there. I do think so.
Yeah, I'm with you. Where it's like, I see there's a rubber band, there's a spectrum, whatever you want to do, of people who are like, oh my God, this is awesome. Oh my God, this is horrible. We're in the news business here, right? So it's like, oh my God, this is crazy. I believe in Phil Spencer. I like what he's been doing with Xbox. I appreciate personally, and I know we haven't really gotten to it, but we are going to get to it. Like, Bobby Kotick is dead man walking. Like, he's gone, right? And that is good for the company, and that's good for Activision. That's good. And when I say good for Activision, I mean good for all the employees that had to sit there making great games, but having to wear this like scarlet letter on their chest because their company's run by a douchebag and all these assholes at the top that are being sued, right? I like that that's outcome of this. I like that Xbox bringing him. And there's another question coming up that like Riot Goes Woof. I want to get you in here, even though I don't know if it'll be something we talk long about. I was dismayed by the news a while back that Toys for Bob, the developer of the recent Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot games, were being pulled into working on Call of Duty. I believe the same thing happened to Vicarious Visions, the developers who remade Tony Hawk. Do you think the acquisition might be blah, 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 blah? I think that that's a great example of, hopefully, if those studios want to do something that isn't Call of Duty, Phil's going to look at them and the Xbox team's going to look at them and be like, what do you want to make? Let's make awesome shit together. Let's make cool fucking games together. You don't have to grind on Call of Duty because we have other studios and other plans and all these different things. There's all this possible upside to it, but yeah, there's possible downside to it. And yeah, it is that thing of like, we can be excited that this is crazy and unexpected and something I never expected in the industry. And it's like, it's on par, like for our side of the industry, right? When like Disney bought Star Wars, and I remember that day in the office, let alone buying Fox and yada, 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 and Marvel and so much other stuff. Like, it's unprecedented. It's unprecedented. So there's this excitement to it, but of course there's this tinge of like, what the fuck does this mean what does this mean? Not in a fanboy way for PlayStation, but in a way of like PlayStation audiences. And then the business side of it, Jonathan Dornbush from IGN.com tweeted out, like, how do you want Podcast Beyond to talk about the Xbox stuff? Because obviously it's a PlayStation podcast. And I put in the question that I think's a real one that we'll debate from here on out of like, does this mean PlayStation like really rolls up their sleeves, gets off the bench, gets into this fight and starts acquiring more studios, not even because they want to necessarily, but because they're afraid of being locked out? Or do they stick with what they do with PlayStation Studios and become a boutique console, a boutique market for games? Like, we're on this precipice, and I don't know where we go from here as an industry. And when you look at this, and so all the way back to, is it a monopoly? Is it scary? It's not by definition a full-blown monopoly, obviously, but it is a slippery slope. It is another avenue gone. It is this really crazy acquisition of capitalism and what the video game industry business is as we continue to go around.
To go back to the scale of the story is big enough that it forces you to consider, the wider, kind of implications of kind of, the media landscape and everything. And yeah, we are getting closer to what we already see in Hollywood, where companies like Disney control so much, because they own Fox and Lucasfilm and Pixar and Marvel and everything else. It's just, it's I think we are inexorably getting closer and closer to that kind of dystopian sci-fi future. It's like there's only two mega corporations left and they control everything. We arguably took a little step closer to that today. That's one of the other angles, right? There's been a lot of discussion today about antitrust. And is this going to get flagged? And, a lot of deals like this get announced and don't end up going through. Some people that I saw tweeting today who know more about antitrust than I do said that they don't think it's even though it's big, in gaming terms, it's not big. It's not big enough in overall corporate terms to be really flagged up for antitrust. So it will probably get waved through. And again, what does that mean? It's interesting. The Disney thing's a good comparison, because I remember when that happened, when Disney bought, for example, Marvel and Star Wars, everyone was like, oh my God, Darth Vader and Thor could have a fight. Like, that could legally happen now. And there were all these excitements about crossovers and stuff like that. But there are also people going, yeah, but like, okay, enjoy that while you eat your Disney food and get piped in, authorized Disney content, and you basically, you now live in like on Planet Disney and you've got no other options. So there's definitely two ways to, there's a cool, fun, creative side to the implications, and then there's like a scary dystopian business side to it as well. I do want to stick, so I acknowledge all of that, but I do want to stick with, like, again, what does this mean for you and me, Johnny and Jenny Gamer, friends with benefits?
Me, Johnny.
When we're not fucking each other, what games are we going to be
We're
playing?
not related. Remember, the gamer thing isn't our last name. If you're
We're
joining us,
not related. We could be stepbrother and sister.
Sure.
This
I
is
guess, yeah, that's-
it's,
yeah,
it's
I-
getting
I-
really
I-
confusing. Suddenly, it is our last name. Come on, guys.
Let's keep the narrative clear, Gary. What does it
Okay,
mean for
all right,
us?
keep
I
it
think,
clear.
I think, you know what?
We should have a safe word,
Oh, Jesus.
just in
Space
case
Rocks.
this goes
Space
too
Rocks.
far for one of
Space
us.
Rocks.
Okay, Space Rocks is the safe word. Okay, so what this does also mean is, I think that, again, I've talked a lot about, because obviously we talked a lot about Activision-Blizzard over the past year or so, that both Activision and specifically Blizzard have really been allowed to creatively stagnate and kind of drift from, the quality, goalposts that they once stayed within, because it became just another studio, right? Just pump out games, just keep making us money. And Blizzard always got where they were pre-acquisition by not releasing games all the time and like staying true to, like, let's not release a game unless it's really good, and let's only do things that we really, really believe in creatively. I would love to think that once Codic's out of the way, because that is inevitably going to happen, and Phil's running the show, and maybe he brings in someone new under him to kind of supervise it day to day, that Blizzard will get hopefully back to the kind of the Blizzard that we know and love from the old days. And there's also the potential now, of course, for there to be a real effort to, is there a way to finally bring World of Warcraft to the Xbox? Is there a console
100%.
version of that that's viable, right?
You said that at the top, that you're like, oh, most of Blizzard's games are PC, and I think that is going to change in the positive way of, like, Xbox clearly wants everything to be on Game Pass.
Will there be like an Xbox-friendly fork of World of Warcraft that would probably be its own thing, separate from the PC version? I don't think it would be cross-play. But maybe, I mean, again, it's too early to say, but this is this fun stuff to talk about. But an Xbox-centric version of World of Warcraft that you could play with a gamepad, where the subscriptions rolled into Game Pass. There's another value add, and that becomes then a huge shot in the arm for War. Maybe that's a new lease of life for Warcraft, which has been struggling the past couple of years.
For sure,
right? So this could mean. It could mean so much. If Paris is still on the line, I want to pitch to Paris right now a fucking Banjo-Kazooie Crash Bandicoot crossover. What do you think about that?
Oh, no, I would love that. But see, that also, again, opens up the possibilities here, because like when we talk about studios inside of Activision, like High Moon, Vicarious Visions, this frees them up to do other things, right? So what if, I don't know, and I'm just pulling this out of my butt, but what if High Moon got Banjo-Kazooie and they were able to bring Crash, and there's all these possibilities they can do. So that's some of the good things that comes out of this. And then just even going back to the specific point, what you're talking about, like with World of Warcraft and all that, even if it doesn't come to console, the fact that they now could add that into PC Game Pass as an example, and maybe not give you 100% free subscription, but a massive discount on a subscription to World of Warcraft or something like that, that's an added value that, again, gets more people into that service, because ultimately that's what all this is about. Oh, and one last thing, for the love of God, and I don't know if you said this already, but for the love of God, please don't make Call of Duty an annual title anymore. Please give it a break. It needs a break.
I agree. I'd be happy if they treated it more like Assassin's Creed, where it was once every other couple of years or whatever. I mean, to their, just purely from like a business point of view, it is impressive that Activision found a way to make Call of Duty a yearly title and keep the franchise successful just by plugging all these different studios into it. This kind of 3-studio rotation that they have now. Again, I don't think it's good for gamers. I think it's oh yeah, here comes another Call of Duty. Again, the games do sell really, really well, but I would like to see, for me, under Phil's auspices, I'm sure Phil's got like a whole laundry list of things that he would like to do on a top tier level in terms of kind of reimagining like what Activision Blizzard is and what it does and what it stands for under the new Microsoft Xbox banner. And I would like to believe that it means, again, less, to your point, Paris, less of a focus on just being a Call of Duty annual cookie cutter factory, just shit one out every year, and try to get Activision back to like a little bit more diversity of content. Like, let's, it doesn't, because right now there's so few other things that they have there. What, Tony Hawk, Spyro, Crash, a handful of other little things that no one cares about. But like, let's try something new. Like, what's the next Call of Duty? Not the next Call of Duty, but like the next thing that could be as big as Call of Duty. Like, I'd like to see Activision get back to something where they become just more of an interesting company in terms of the games they put out. And I do think we know the potential there for Blizzard because they had it for many years. One of the best, I always used to call them like the Pixar of gaming, because like every time a Blizzard game came out, you're like, well, it's going to be a banger. That has kind of slipped a little bit under Activision's auspices, but I think there is a way to get Blizzard back to the company it used to be.
And I mean, again, we're talking about, the pros, the cons, what could be good, what could be bad. Like, I obviously, as you know, from watching the show or listening to me talk about it, like, I really like what Xbox has been doing. I really like what Phil's been doing. And so for me, that's what I see too, is the upside of this. As usually, I mean, I always go back to looking at Double Fine, right? But when Xbox buys Double Fine, and you're like, oh man, why, Tim Schafer and Double Fine were like the poster child for indie developers, right? Why do this? And it's the idea of like, well, Tim Schafer wants to make games. He doesn't want to sit there and be worrying about payroll and worrying about keeping the studio afloat and worrying about the next thing. And so to bring in Call of Duty like this, granted, not a franchise you're worried about closing up, but you are looking at these studios that are in somewhat disarray, right? Look at Raven and the strike that's been going on because, again, Activision corporate wants to treat people like shit unfairly. Like, yeah, get in there, fucking remove all that as Phil and hopefully as Xbox, right? And then let those people talk to those people. What do you want to make? That's the whole thing Phil talks about. That's the whole promise of Xbox Game Pass, right? Of like, it doesn't need to be Halo every time. It needs to be a consistent thing. And so to what you're talking about, Paris, is yeah, cool. Let's find out, I know it's ancient history to everybody else because they've been yoked with this freaking thing and locked in the dungeon forever. Raven made the X-Men Origins Wolverine game. The story sucked, obviously, but that gameplay was awesome. Awesome. That was so much fun to play. Like, I don't know who's still around from that team, and I'm not trying, I know people turn over, but like, you have people who want to create and want to make cool shit. You look at Toys for Bob, right? That did have these breakout things. And then, all right, cool. Now you're just going to go do this. You look at the Tony Hawk people, you're just going to do this. Fucking get in there and be like, what do you guys want to do? We can do one Call of Duty every few years. We can do one Call of Duty platform.
I would love to see that. Just in terms of answering the question every year of like, okay, what's Xbox's big holiday offering? Like, we know it's not going to be Halo because that came out last year or whatever, or maybe it's not the right year for the next Forza, but at least every other year, they could say, well, like every even numbered year is just when we do another big Call of Duty. And if they came off that remorseless every year track, it could potentially free up one of their studios right now, like a Treyarch or like a Raven or a Sledgehammer or for Phil to go to them and say, you know what, you're off the Call of Duty fucking conveyor belt. Bring me the next big thing. Pitch me that. What's the thing that you guys really want to make? Rather than the most interesting creative conversation you have every year being, well, is the next Call of Duty going to be World War II again or quasi-futuristic again? Like, just fucking come up with give me something new. We want to grow the franchise library, the portfolio, bring us something new. I would love to see, and I think the developers would love to have that kind of liberation to, like, for Phil to say, you now have license to come up with the next big original mega franchise that could, potentially, take over from Call of Duty on the road or whatever, or just sit beside it. So it's just not Activision, not just Call of Duty Incorporated anymore. I think that's potentially the biggest potential here.
Yeah, I mean, to go along those lines, because I think now they're at 30 studios, as I think something like that. This frees them up to do new things, take risks, get new ideas out there instead of just the same thing.
Oh, where'd he go? He muted himself. He pressed the button.
I got so excited I muted myself. No, but like you said, Gary, this frees up Treyarch or Sledgehammer or Infinity Ward to go do the next thing.
Right.
People forget High Moon Studios did a Transformers game, which was awesome.
Dude, if you want to go further than back, remember they made that Jason Bourne game that had great ideas. It didn't come together the way it should, but like, they fucking can make cool shit.
Yep. And I guarantee you, every single one of these developers has like a massive drawer full of things that they desperately want to do, but they can't because their destiny now is, well, we just make every other third fucking Call of Duty game,
Yeah,
I think there's a lot
100%.
of people at Sledgehammer and Treyarch and Infinity Ward, to Paris's point, that are really excited about what this could mean for them. That finally they might get liberated.
Yeah, exactly. And again, when you get brought into this family, right, you're not just given a new name on the paycheck. You have access to all these resources. And I think that's what's the most important thing when you talk about this, and like opening the door to, cool, we want to make this small game. It won't take nearly as long as other stuff. Well, you can do that. And then we'll outsource this to, not even outsource it, just put it to the other Xbox family of studios that can go do this and have it happen.
Yeah, I think the biggest one in terms of short term, I mean, not super short term, but like, either next year or I think more likely is Paris, because you'd have to make a decision if you're going to develop for multiple formats before this deal would close, which I don't think legally they could do. So maybe like the 2024 game would be the first one that comes in exclusively under Xbox Game Pass. And again, if I was a Sony game, I think the people that are like that are feeling like the most kind of oh my god type feelings today are PlayStation gamers who really, really like Call of Duty. That's the most kind of threatened group right now, I think.
Here's the thing, Gary. All right. I wanna kick it over to ads, tell you about what, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You could go there, get the show ad free, yada, yada, yada. I'll get to that in a second. But I also see this little punk over here in the chat, Blessing Jr., throwing out things. I love this line of thinking.
Oh, Blessing's in the chat. What's he saying?
Microsoft ain't giving up that Call of Duty money to work on Singularity. Blessing, get your ass in here while we go to this ad, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, Blessing Adeoye Jr. from PSILY XOXO will join us. But for right now, remember, if you go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You can get the show with the exclusive post show, and you can get the show ad-free. But speaking of ads, you aren't watching on Patreon, so here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Sticking to your New Year's resolutions can be hard, but if you're focusing on saving money by ordering less takeout, learning to cook, or prioritizing your wellness, smashing your goals is a piece of cake with HelloFresh. HelloFresh has endless options to make cooking at home simple and enjoyable by delivering pre-portioned ingredients to your door, including farm-fresh produce that arrives within a week. HelloFresh has 50 menu and market items to choose from every single week, including some more family-friendly or gourmet choices. Kevin Coelho, Paula Coelho, they've been loving HelloFresh. They, of course, Paula, being a vegetarian, like the options of having the vegetarian stuff, and they've been having some fantastic meals over there in their Coelho household. Go to HelloFresh.com/kindoffunny16 and use code kindoffunny16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/kindoffunny16 and use code kindoffunny16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
Ladies and gentlemen, from PS I Love You XOXO, the one, the only, Forbes 30 under 30, aka I almost did the second best. The Future Classic Gaming, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
What's up, Greg?
You think that Microsoft's going to keep all these studios working on Call of Duty? They won't at
No.
all give them some leeway?
I think you guys are spot on in terms of the things they can do with the Activision studios. I just don't think I don't easily see them going from yearly to then being like, okay, no, do exactly what you want. Just because to Paris's point of you don't spend $70 billion to keep things the same. I also don't think you spend $70 billion to give up on Call of Duty money, especially because that is like the bread and butter of Activision-Blizzard. And so I see them shifting some things, and I see them rearranging. Maybe they do Call of Duty as more of a platform and have 2 studios working on Call of Duty as opposed to 3, and have it be a thing of Warzone exists multi-platform, right? You can play Warzone on PlayStation, you can play Warzone on PC, you can play it on Xbox, and then you have the Call of Duty exclusive game platform game that you have on Xbox and on PC, and maybe it is hey, we have Black Ops. And then a couple years later, you have Modern Warfare, and it is just those 2 franchises. And it is just, let's say, Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and that's it. And then that frees up the other studios. But yeah, it's tough for me to think of a scenario where it is Call of Duty once every 3 years. I think for them, they still want to have Call of Duty active year-round in a way where it's still always in the conversation.
And where are you on the other big question, Blessing? Do you think the party's over for PlayStation Call of Duty gamers in a year or 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think PlayStation will have Warzone, and I think it's smart to kind of have the double dip of here is the multi-platform Call of Duty that exists as Warzone, and maybe you have future Battle Royale releases that exist multi-platform, but then also here is the bread and butter premium like single player campaign mixed with multiplayer PvP Call of Duty that you have exclusive on Xbox PC. I think in about 2 or 3 years, you're not going to see big Call of Duty games release on PlayStation.
Hot
Yeah,
damn.
that seems to be
World
the way it's going.
And
like
also to loop it back again in a second, because I was listening during the PlayStation conversation too, in terms of like what does PlayStation do to this? How does PlayStation react? That I'm very interested in, because I don't know if PlayStation can just go business as usual anymore.
Yeah, what do you
like
think the Zoom calls at Sony are like this morning?
I think they're one. I think it goes back to what Greg was saying in terms of them not having a big first-person shooter on the platform anymore, right? Like I kind of had that feel when Bethesda got bought, right? And you're saying goodbye to Doom, Wolfenstein. You're saying goodbye to some big Bethesda Western RPGs, right? And that lightens things up on the platform, where it's not the end of the world. You still have other games on PlayStation. You still got PlayStation first-party titles. You still have other RPGs that people can rock with. You still have Mass Effect coming someday. You still have other things you can rock with. But now with Activision leaving, that leaves a big gap in terms of multiplayer shooters, and even multiplayer, even single player campaign shooters on the platform too. Mm-hmm. So I think the conversations at PlayStation are, one, how do we fill that gap, right? Like, what are we gonna do to kind of to compete now with both Call of Duty and Halo on the Microsoft platform? But also, I do think that they're thinking about big acquisitions to some extent. I don't think the House Marks and the Blue Points are going to cut it anymore.
Let me also ask both you and Greg this, as we try to get our arms around the implications of this. Again, if you like zoom all the way out, right, in terms of the console wars of it all, for the longest time, we've always just accepted Sony number one, Microsoft number two. How do you think this gets us measurably closer to that flipping?
Yes. Are you talking about quality or sales?
Let's just talk about sales for right now.
Yeah, I think this is, as we've seen over and over again with Xbox's strategy, this is long game stuff. Like, it isn't going to happen in holiday. I had to look at the year because that's how fucked up this pandemic's been. It isn't going to happen holiday 2022. That it's like, man, Xbox has jumped ahead and is surging and yada, yada, yada. But it is to, the question we read earlier of like, how do you tell your friend, or a casual gamer to go with a PlayStation over an Xbox? You do eventually get to where the trap's sprung, and Starfield, Call of Duty, Fallout, you go down the line of these games that people know and love are only on Xbox. And there is well, shit, why? Like, and it's, to Andy's question, whose friend was, hey, like, they just bought PS5s, like, that sucks for them. Like, they won't know that for a while. That won't happen for a while. And eventually you're going to get to a point where it's like, I guess I got to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, I think we are getting to the point where, and again, with cloud gaming, in a year or two, when this is all fully locked in and we're seeing the implications of it, we will probably be at a point where, for a lot of people, they won't even need to buy a physical Xbox. So, it'll be an Xbox Game Pass app baked into their smart TV, or the cloud streaming. That's obviously a big part of the Xbox, offering the kind of the macro strategy under Phil Spencer. So you may not even have to buy it. You have to buy into the Xbox ecosystem in some way with a Game Pass subscription, but you may not have to buy a physical piece of hardware. The cloud might well have you covered there. But yeah, I think we are clearly at a point now where if you like video games a lot, and you like to play lots of different video games, including like a lot of the top ones, a Game Pass subscription is if not already, is going to very quickly become just a more of a utility than a luxury. Like, you just won't be able to not have it.
Yeah, going into this generation of games, I think a big conversation we're having was about who is going to be the industry leader by the end of this generation, especially because we've always had it flip back and forth of during the PS3, Xbox 360 generation. I think the argument is there that Xbox kind of won that generation, but then going into PS4 versus Xbox, PS4 was by far the winner. And going into this generation, I always had the thought of, it's going to be really difficult for Xbox to try and gain ground against PlayStation when the lead is just so far ahead PlayStation's. I'm at the point now with the Bethesda acquisition last year, now this acquisition and what Game Pass and Xbox is doing, by even mid this generation, it's hard for me to see a scenario where we're not all calling Microsoft the industry leader. And that's wild to me with this.
Let me ask you this. So I'm Jenny Gamer, Greg's Johnny Gamer. Let's make you...
Blessing, I'm sorry, I don't know when you came in. Just to clarify, we're not related. We aren't married either. We're friends with benefits who might be step siblings.
Oh, I thought we might also be step siblings. Okay, so you're what's another J name?
Johnny,
Jonah, James.
You're Jonah Gamer. We're bringing you into we're making this a menage now. This is a menage a trois. of gaming and gaming friends with benefits. If you again, just step outside of yourself for a moment, Blessing. You're looking
Now yourself,
at
Blessing.
you're looking at buying a console today. You don't have one already. It's time to get a new console. You know everything that you know as of this morning, including the latest Microsoft news. You've only got enough budget for one console. What are you buying, an Xbox or a PlayStation?
A Nintendo Switch. No, I'm kidding. It's really tough because I think it really is. It depends on the kind of gamer you are. Because if you know me, you know that I really do love those Bethesda games. I fucking love Bethesda Game Studios. I love id Software. I love Arcane, right? I love those games so much. But then you got Spider-Man on the PlayStation side, right? And you have Ghost of Tsushima.
And God of War.
And God of War. It's honestly a really tough choice for me. If you're talking to me, let's say 5 years ago, and I'm on a budget and I got to be cost conscious about the decisions I'm making, I think I'm going to Xbox because of Xbox Game Pass, honestly. I think getting those games with Xbox Game Pass is a big deal and goes a very long way in terms of, I want to play all these different games and I can play all my favorite games for the same price as I'm paying for any other subscription service. I think that is a huge deal. And on the PlayStation side, right, having to pay $70 for all these different games, that adds up. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who might be in that scenario of not having unlimited funds to work with that really do have to pick and choose, right? Not everybody's in a situation where they can play where they can buy and play Ratchet and Returnal and Deathloop all in 1 year, because you got to really think about the games that you're buying. And so I think for me, if I'm thinking about price, I'm leaning toward Xbox for that. If I'm thinking purely just games, it becomes way difficult and I would have to like lay things out really, but I think I might end up going PlayStation just on the PlayStation first party side. I think I still do identify with those games pretty hard.
It's, well, here's the thing, coming off that, Jeter fan 32 in the Twitch chat goes, got to kick Blessing off PS I Love You now. He's joking, obviously. But like, I'm Greg Miller and I got hired at IGN 15 years ago to cover PlayStation, and I have ever since. I'm right there. If you were coming in sight unseen, you're like, I'm really interested in this generation of consoles and stuff. I'm going to buy one. I haven't played in a while. What would I bet? I would say get Xbox, and I would say get the Game Pass, and I would say catch up on all these amazing games and stuff. The question of like, again, right now, who's got the better lineup, who's whatever, yada, yada, yada. Like that isn't the conversation. That's a moot point at the moment. Because if I'm talking about catching up a casual gamer who hasn't played, I think Xbox and the Game Pass is the way to go.
Yeah.
I think if you've already been caught up, Horizon and then Bloodborne, or Horizon and then hopefully Bloodborne 2, and then God of War and everything coming right now that's announced for PlayStation is super tangible and awesome, and I can't wait for it. And if that's your kind of jam, I'd stick with that, as I am Greg and I love third-person action adventure, right? But like, I do look and see Starfield, and I think Starfield's like the first real card that's being played by the Xbox exclusive acquisition. I'm sorry, Gary.
I was going to say, I do think the good news, and I touched on this just a moment ago, for gamers of all stripes, particularly Sony gamers who might feel a bit nervous right now, is that I think it's going to be, depending on what kind of internet connection you may have at home, it's entirely possible that in a year or two from now, I mean, technically you can do it right now, but certainly a year or two from now, as the infrastructure gets better and Microsoft makes more investments in the cloud stuff, that you'll be an Xbox and a PlayStation gamer, but you'll only actually have one console. You might have a physical PlayStation 5. And you're in the Xbox ecosystem through $15 a month, or you might probably will have gone up by then, $20 a month or whatever for Game Pass Ultimate. And you'll have all your Xbox stuff through a smart TV app or whatever. Like, you still only have one console, but you'll be able to play games on both sides of the fence.
And I mean that's the conversation we've had for the longest time, right? Yeah, is like, what, Game Pass and the cloud and all that jazz. Like, you don't need to jump into the Xbox ecosystem. But I do think that if you sign up for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and you're using the cloud and you start looking, and again, this is a catch-up argument. And again, this is the argument I go back to what Blessing was just bringing up, right? In my 15 years of reviewing games and talking about games, one of the criticisms that is lobbed at me is the fact that, well, you say this is better than that, or you played all these different things, or blah, blah, but like, you don't understand what $60, and this is last generation, means anymore, right? Like, you get your games for review, so you get them from the companies, you get them for free. Whereas now games are $70. But again, if we're sitting there and if that argument from that I've heard my entire career carries forth, then how could you not look at Xbox Game Pass and go, well, shit, yeah. Death's Door, again, we haven't gotten to the updates, right? Death's Door dropping. Nobody Saves the World dropping today on it. Like, let alone everything else we've talked about that's coming to Xbox Game Pass, right? Like, the Hitman Trilogy. Rainbow Six Extraction comes out this week and is dropping on Xbox Game Pass. Like, if Greg Miller, when I was on the outside, right, when I was growing up playing games, if this kind of, like, to me, Xbox Game Pass, where I was like, oh, it's a Netflix of gaming. To me, and contextualize how old I am, it's the Blockbuster All Access of gaming, which was, when Blockbuster did the thing, rent as many games as you want for one price. I signed up for that club, and every day I would go and get a new game and come back if I didn't like it or play it longer or whatever and put it back in. If I was on the outside right now and I was like, man, I want to play as much as possible, I want to be as informed as possible about the industry, I want to play as much for as cheap as possible, of course you do Game Pass. Like, and again, PlayStation Now is no slouch, but Xbox Game Pass is the one that's going, hey, day and date, we're getting these games. Here is Rainbow Six.
And we know that Sony is coming out with whatever its version of
Spartacus
Game Pass may be. And I doubt there's going to be as robust a cloud, if at all. This is the big advantage. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when you really, really want to start going to the mat, Sony has the better market position in video games, no question, in terms of install base and everything else, kind of mind share, arguably. But if you want to go company against company, Microsoft destroys Sony every time. Sony couldn't have spent $70 billion on Activision. That was never going to happen. Microsoft is a company that has the resources to do that. In terms of the architecture, one of the reasons why Microsoft's able to make such big inroads into cloud gaming and cloud architecture is they're one of the handfuls of companies that are one of the genuine pillars of the internet, like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. These are the companies that are basically the internet. And so they have the infrastructure to do it. Sony doesn't have that. And so those are kind of the inbuilt advantages that Microsoft's going to have. I love the idea that, down the road, give it a few years from now. Again, I don't even have a console under my desk, but it's just like two apps on my TV. Here's my Spartacus app, here's my Game Pass app, and all of my games are there. $20 a month each or whatever. And I don't even have to worry about which console I'm switching on. I do think we'll eventually get somewhere like that, and I think that's probably the best reason for Sony gamers to feel like a bit more comforted today, that even though the Xbox side of things, including Call of Duty and everything else that might be moving over exclusively, it's not like that's going to become inaccessibly out of reach. I have to buy another console. You're going to be able to get access to that stuff, at hopefully a reasonable price.
Fascinating times ahead, ladies and gentlemen. This is far from our last time talking about this deal, as you can imagine. Of course, there's a new episode of PSI Love You live right now about Horizon's re-review. I'm sure next week we'll answer questions like Devontae, Chris Holmes here's, like, what would you do if you wake up and see the headline, Xbox acquires PlayStation Studios? How long could other third-party developers sustain in this market right now as people go? Thad Davis wrote in and said, is Sony's only move to buy EA? These are the kind of questions we'll be debating on PSI Love You. I'm sure, again, this broke this morning. Blessing will have more tomorrow on Kind of Funny Games Daily as things net out from there. And then, of course, the Kind of Funny Xcast records live Friday. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames goes up Saturday for everybody for free. We are far from done with this news story, but for right now, we will move on. Blessing, thank you for your time. I hope you have a lovely day.
You too, Greg.
Yeah, nice to see you, Blessing.
Nice to see you too, Gary.
Gary, remember when Blessing showed up and thought he was going to talk shit to us, and we just laid him out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, it's easy to throw popcorn at us from the cheap seats, but if you want to come up on the stage,
I'm still here, guys.
Oh, hey,
I'm not left the call.
Oh, sorry. I'll see you on Gamescast. Remember, if you're patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can watch us record the Gamescast. Number 2 on the Roper Report, and I am going to go not turbo, but I'm going to abbreviate these. Number 2, it looks like E3 as an online event may also be dead. Yesterday, the one, the only, Jeff Grubb from GamesBeat put up a TikTok. Kevin, I put it in there. We don't have to listen to it. You can let it play.
Jeff Grubb's Game Mess, video games. I'm in my car, which is where I believe you're.
Okay. I love the fact that Jeff has a TikTok called Jeff Grubb's, I think, what is it? Jeff Grubb's Summer he couldn't even get mess all the way in there. He has 2 up there. One of them is him breaking this rumor that he's heard that E3 online as an event will not be happening. Shout out to Jeff Grubb for being amazing.
Do you think the E3 is basically done?
100%.
Is it moribund?
I mean, like, when E3 was like, we're not doing the live event, but like they didn't announce it, it kind of got pulled out by the reporters. Like, that's a bad sign. And the fact that, as usual, they didn't have anything locked and loaded to say that, like Dean Takahashi talked about an online event at GamesBeat as well, but nobody else did, and it didn't seem like there was any real information on that. Like, I totally believe that the online event is dead, and if that is the case, then yes, I think E3 is dead overall as a concept. But
do you think something will replace it going forward, or do you think?
I will go back to the hope I've had for years now. Yeah, what that Jeff does. Yeah, he's got Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley, right? Not Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb should not replace anything. But Jeff Keighley in Summer Game Fest, like I think
I
that
just mean in terms of like a big convention center type event, when we hopefully eventually get to a post-COVID world, if there'll still be like the big gaming industry get together, every year.
dude, are we
in
ever
the
gonna get
summer
to
or
a
whatever.
post-COVID world? Like, well, this is the.
I mean,
we're gonna be wearing masks forever and worrying
I
about
want
this
to
shit
believe.
forever. I feel like we've gotten to a point where the industry has just shifted so much, let alone the news today. But the fact that like E3 used to be about going there so you could show Walmart what they needed to buy, right? And then it slowly became this bigger event for just announcements. Then it became this bigger commercial. Then the audience started coming, and so now you're to a point where it's like Sony and nobody. Does Microsoft want to go there and do this weird stage show with everybody else when they could just do something, hire PSILY and do it from a nice studio and have it be polished and clean and go out that way? And then this is where I think Jeff Keighley enters the equation, is that obviously Jeff's got the opening night live for Gamescom, and then he's got Game Awards. Like, everybody trusts him. Just what I want to see is Jeff Keighley there in the orange vest with the cones, waving everybody in, putting them over here. All right, Xbox, you're going to be on this day at this time. Ubisoft, you're this day and this time. Everybody just surrender the schedule to him so he can do it and plan it so that we don't go on for 3 months burned out seeing the same 4 games like in different conferences.
Also, I'm sorry, I very rarely look at the chat or comment on the chat, but I just glanced at it a moment ago and someone just said, "Oh, but this already is kind of post-COVID." Tell that to my fucking 9-year-old daughter who I had to pull out of school this week because there's a COVID cluster of cases in her fucking class, and the teachers are sending out emails saying, "Please donate N95 masks because the school district can't afford them." And my kid's at home having to do remote learning and misses her friends because she can't go to school. And we're the least fucking vaccinated country in the industrialized world. We're nowhere fucking near post-COVID. Nowhere fucking near. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest.
Benefit of the doubt for a kind of funny audience member, that might have been a joke. Because I say that kind of shit on shows all the time with somebody. I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about? The pandemic's over." Clearly it's not. It's a living nightmare. But I think that's sometimes how we get through it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this person's there, and at which point, get vaccinated, wear your mask, everybody. Vaccinations are safe, free, effective. Go get them. Don't be silly. Gary, you boosted?
Absolutely. I've been boosted.
Yeah,
I got boosted as soon as I could.
Yeah, I had to sign up and do it, and I did it. You get signed up, you go do it, everybody. Because then maybe one day, possibly, it'll be like. So, anyways, back to your question. I don't know if you'll see. I think if for a live show, I think you could see everything pivot to Gamescom if you still want to kind of do that. I think for an audience perspective, if they're able to survive, PAX is still going to be those things of like, let's go there, let's talk to the audience, let's have that kind of thing. But then I also think that like Xbox and PlayStation, if they want to, they can do their own live events. They can do XO for Xbox, they can do a PSX for PlayStation. But again, do they want to do that? And does anybody don't get me wrong, it's that I want to do that, but in reality, would I do that? Like, would I be down to go to another PSX if they're like, we're doing a PSX this summer? Fuck no. I gotta worry about Benjamin. You talk about your 9-year-old. I got a 3-month-old upstairs that's unvaccinated. So it's like, well, I don't really want to go out and like be mingling with all these people. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So it's all fucked up. But I digress. We'll keep you posted on what's happening with E3. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't have the link in front of me, but I believe as of today, the US government is posting a link you can go to get 4 free COVID tests sent to your house.
Wario64 told me about it. That's true.
I know. Did you? I can't remember what the story was. Did you see that? As like the COVID, the testing situation is so bad that even Wario64 is trying to fucking help.
And I like how that was a hard drive joke before it was a reality.
I mean,
number 3 and final on the Roper Report,
world.
and I'm going to go quicker than I should, but I know other shows will catch me on this one. Nobody Saves the World review roundup. Nobody Saves the World, of course, from Drinkbox, the people behind Guacamelee, Severed, and of course Meat and Blob's Attack, which I'm sure you all remember. Right now, I should say right now, at 8:44, when I had a free moment between the Xbox news, the Metacritic looked like this: 77 on Xbox and 81 on PC. GameSpot gave it a 9. Steve Watts reports about midway through Nobody Saves the World, I was getting wrecked. I had bashed my head against a dungeon using my best and strongest forms, switching my shape-shifting hero between forms like the Burly Knight and the Nimble Ranger, but none of them had light-based abilities necessary for countering the dungeon's monsters. The light abilities I could import from the other forms were close range, and I was getting overwhelmed in the scrum. On a lark, I decided to switch to the snail form, which had a signature light ability. The humble, unassuming snail was a form I hadn't really tried, figuring it to be more or less a joke. Friend, let me tell you, that snail ripped through the dungeon like it was wet paper. I was a tiny gastropod avenger, cackling as I choreographed a ballet of monster carnage, the likes of which had never been seen. And as I collected my reward, the experience made me appreciate how meticulously developer Drinkbox designed every form, every combat encounter, every moment of Nobody Saves the World to feel great. PC Gamer gave it an 8. John Bales wrote, if it's a bit flabby and messy though, Nobody Saves the World is far more often a delight. Guacamelee was a showcase for ingenious level design, but here Drinkbox demonstrates a different knack for layering up complex systems which combine and play off each other in deviously logical ways. Under the brash exterior lies a wonderfully technical game that offers the freedom to let you discover the quality of its craft in its own time. Grinding through quests is a genuine pleasure, and well, who doesn't want to be a horse with the powers of a slug? And meanwhile, IGN gave it a 7. Mitchell Saltzman writes, when Nobody Saves the World is at its best, which is for a majority of its 15-hour campaign, it's a joy to play. Granted, its transformation menus need a lot of work to make it useful on the fly, but there's a wide variety of fun and humorous side quests, excellent customization options that encourage experimentation between your various forms and abilities they can equip and clever your various forms and the abilities they can equip, and clever dungeon designs that really demand you explore the full depth of that customization. That delicious center is unfortunately bookended by a slow beginning and a drawn-out end, but they're worth pushing through and past to experience what is truly a unique and charming action RPG. Gary, Nobody Saves the World. That on your list? You interested in that one at all?
No, I was talking. Who was it? Barrett, I think, tweeted something about it earlier that wasn't very encouraging. It just seems like there's too. It's not that I'm like super uninterested in it, or I think it looks like shit. It's just when I have limited time to play games these days, and when I sit down, there's like at least 20 things ahead of it on the list.
Real quick, Aaron Bass in the chat says, I'll try it if it comes to Game Pass. It's a day and date Game Pass, so you could get it right now. I'm a huge Drinkbox fan. I would put them on the list of developers that are our friends. I've known Drinkbox for years and years and years since they got started with the PlayStation Pub Fund all the way back with Tales from Space. For me, this one was, it's exactly what you just described to me, where I'm like, I'm with the IGN. I would have given it a 6.5, maybe a 7 of just like, it's fun enough, but for me, it's a game that I keep saying when I'm talking to the guys about it, I'm like, it feels like it belongs on mobile. It feels like something I would play while I watched something. Like
life's too short to be playing 6 5s and 7s. There's too many 8s, 9s, and 10s out there.
I mean, some people are saying this is an 8 and a 9, so just heads up on that one.
I mean, to be fair, Barrett doesn't like The Artful Escape either, so what the fuck does he know?
Well, I mean, Bear's right about that one. Blessing, you're still here, it looks like. Do you have a thought on it before I kick it over?
Yeah, I played about half of it, and I kind of sit somewhere in between that the IGN 7 and the 8 that you read off. Where for the most of my time playing it, I had a blast, and I think like it has the Drinkbox thing of really good art style, really funny and good writing, and it's fun for the most part. But I think the progression once you get to a certain point gets really bad, where a bit for the big portion of the game, the way that you progress is by doing these achievements. Essentially, you know, they're like, hey, get 5 kills with this attack, get 10 kills with this other attack, and in the way that the game is customizable, you can equip different abilities and use the different forms, and the game really encourages you to explore all of that. But with that, once I got past like the first hump of like doing all the stuff that I wanted to do, all that was left was stuff that I did not want to do in the game.
Sure.
And it caused me to put it down. Like after a while, I was just like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And it's a game that I don't think I'm going to go back to. But for the time that I enjoyed it a lot. But for me, it just didn't reach the finish line in a really good way.
Ladies and gentlemen, you used to know him as the Boss Baby. Now you know him as CEO Junior. Barrett Courtney's here. Barrett, what'd you think of
what do I know, Gary?
What do you know?
I know that Guacamelee 2 is one of my favorite games of the last generation.
Okay.
What's that got to do with anything? It's such a smart combination of traversal and combat in a Metroidvania design from Drinkbox Studios. And I think this was a disappointing follow-up. Their first game since Guacamelee 2.
No,
So
I just wanted to get in a cheap shot related to your distaste for The Artful Escape. That's all.
I thought it was very
this
okay.
isn't by no means is Nobody Saves the World a bad game. And honestly, I think this is another great use case for Xbox Game Pass, where I think it's going to work for some and not for others. But for me, it was a disappointing follow-up to Guacamelee 2. That's a great way to say it, Barrett.
Yeah.
I'm
if
sure
this
you guys
was
are
a
going to talk more
developer's
about it
very first game, I would be like, oh, I'm excited to see what they do in the future as a follow-up to Guacamelee 2. Like, they're allowed to do like other other things that aren't Metroidvanias and stuff like that. I was very disappointed by this.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm sure you guys are going to talk about it. I know some like Mike's been playing it. Right, Mike? Mike's been sitting in here the whole time. We asked him in the ad, nothing he said. Anyway,
this is Stomach Mike, and I've been playing it. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm much higher than everybody on this panel. I do agree it's probably an 8. I've enjoyed the incredible color. I enjoy the journey. It's a solid time, and I really, really like it. We'll talk more on the XCast.
And you can get that XCast when it records live. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames Friday afternoon.
Big XCast this week.
YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames Saturday. You ain't kidding, Gary. Gary, I can't wait to see what else you guys have up your sleeve for that XCast. But Friday is so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
First of all, let me say that on the back of this segment, I'll be able to add to this because I have my own announcement. As you know, Greg, we talked about this prior to the show. I tweeted out earlier today that if you thought the Activision-Blizzard news was the biggest gaming news of the week, wait until you see what I've got for you later. I can now officially announce, because we've got like 4,000 people in the chat, big news day, might as well do it today, that I am releasing my first ever game this week. Me and my good friend Adam Nickerson, creator of such hits as Ding Dong XL, have collaborated on a game which will be released maybe as early as today, certainly this week. It's free to play, no microtransactions, no NFTs, none of that bullshit. And so follow me at Gary Witter on Twitter for the announcement, which could be coming.
Wait, that was it? You're not even announcing it now?
No. The announcement's going to come. This is announcing the announcement, which will be on Twitter. I can't announce it yet because I don't have the live link for you to go get the game,
Sure.
but I'll have that later, and that's when we'll do it.
All right, I can't wait to see what.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Break that news.
All right. So you know how
it's a game that might be coming out today.
It might come out. I mean, I have it on my phone right now. I think Adam just needs to press the button.
Let's just do this in line with the show. Gary, I can't wait to find out what your game is, but that's so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what's coming to the mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software on each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.
Yeah! Out today, maybe, is Gary Witter's game. What are you talking about, Gary?
It's maybe today. I think it'll certainly be this week. So, we all like Wordle, right? We're all big fans of Wordle.
We all love Wordle.
Adam and I came up with an idea. Later today, we will be and just like Wordle, it'll be totally free. It'll be in your web browser. You'll be able to go get it. There's no like apps. There's no subscription or anything. You'll just play it for free the way that you played Wordle. Our version of it is called Cruddle. It's basically Wordle, but it only does swear words. So we had a lot of fun putting together the dictionary for it. Sure. And, you'll be able to tweet your results and everything just like you can do with Wordle. But, it has some really good words in it. And coming up with a list of 5-letter swear words was a lot of fun. And Adam's done a good job programming it. And it's our little tribute to Wordle. And if there's a word that made you, giggle as an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever, it's probably in our dictionary. And we'll be, again, follow me at Gary Witter on Twitter, and I'll drop the link for you where you can go play the game. It's live right now. The link is live right now. I think Adam's doing the last couple of little tweaks for it. And, Cruddle will be with you. We were going to call it Sweardle, but somebody beat us to that. There's like a janky version called Sweardle out there right now, which is only 4 letters, and it doesn't work as Adam's done a really good job. This looks just like Wordle, except again, it's only rude words. And I look forward to sharing that with you very soon.
Well, I can't wait, Gary. I can't think of that many swear words. You're not pluralizing. It's not like fucks, right? It's like
no. There are definitely some. We definitely had to use some plurals.
Okay.
But there's a lot of good rude words that are just naturally 5 letters.
All right. Also out today, River City Girls on PS5. Nobody Saves the World, Xbox all around, Xbox Game Pass and PC, and the other one there too. Labyrinth Legends Switch, Drowning Cross Switch, Blacksmith Legends PC. New dates for you. Dismantle is launching on PlayStation 4 and PS5 tomorrow. The Artful Escape is launching January 25th on Switch and PlayStation. And then Have a Nice Death enters Steam Early Access on March 8th. Deals of the day for you. I have that Xbox Game Pass update I've been talking about. Today, of course, you get Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc Anniversary Edition on cloud, console, and PC. Nobody Saves the World, cloud, console, PC. Then on the 20th, you get Death's Door, cloud, console, and PC. Hitman Trilogy, all 3 of them again. Paparazzi, all 3 of them again. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, all 3 of them again. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege Deluxe Edition on PC. Windjammers 2, cloud, console, and PC. And then on the 27th, you get Taito no Tatsujin, the Drum Master, which I'm sure I butchered there at the
Very excited about Windjammers 2.
Sure you are. Gary, we asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. YouTube, podcast, Patreon, you know what I'm saying. Beneficial says Microsoft fiscal 2023 starts in June 2022. Based on the information, the deal will finalize between this June 2022 and June 2023. Just clarifying the timeline for the fiscal years. Thank you. I don't think that's helpful to what we're talking. That's just editorializing. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Here we go. What are you doing? This is interesting.
Adam's texting me. I don't think he expected me to actually announce the game, but I did.
Adam Nickerson, you need to understand you can't contain Gary Whitta. All right? You want to ride the coattails of Gary Whitta, you got to be ready for them to zig and zag and get all over the place.
We should have called it Wordle XL or maybe Wordle XXXL.
I was going to say
like
XXX, right?
Triple X, yeah, Wordle X.
You got to be careful. I remember this guy in the App Store got in trouble for ripping off.
Yeah, well, that's because he did it in a very cynical way. He literally called it Wordle and tried to monetize it, and do it as an app and sell a pro subscription, as opposed to us, which, like the original Wordle, is free, web-based, and even every time you play a game, it thanks the creators of Wordle for the inspiration and links you back to Wordle. So rather than trying to plagiarize Wordle and make money off of it, we're actually, paying tribute to them. Not that they need the help. Obviously, it's a viral sensation, but I didn't want to do a Wordle clone without properly attributing the source where the idea came from.
Well, we'll see about that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily. Tomorrow you'll be getting another because it happens each and every weekday. Tomorrow is Blessing and Andy. Thursday it's me and Tim. And then Friday it is Blessing and Timur Hussein from GameSpot, Giant Bomb, and Kind of Funny. Of course, if you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, you don't need to go anywhere. Andy and Mike are going to roll in to play some God of War PC after this. If you want to check that out after the fact, you can go to youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. If you want more Greg and Gary, well, we're about to do a post show that you'll be able to get soon on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where you can write in to be part of the show. Get the show ad free. Get to see the Xcast when they record it on Friday. Get to see PS I Love Yous when we record them. Get to see the Gamescast we record this afternoon. Get your name right on the shows.
So much going on.
Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You'd be a fool not to go there. However, if you have no bucks tossed our way, we totally understand. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. Let's see what'll happen tomorrow. God only knows in this industry. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.